And we forgot to record, so I started now.
So, missed the beautiful introduction, but here we
Well, thank you everyone for having me today. I'm super excited. So my name is Pauline. I am French. I am working from the Dublin office, and I am a Tableau employee. As of 2020, I lead the Tableau Doctor element of Tableau conference. I'll be talking a little bit about that. And also Data Doctor. So there's a little difference in between the two. So let's dive in. Let me see. Okay, so as you can see on the screen, we have two different logos, and both of them are different. Each of them has their own slogan, color, logo, and naming convention. So I'm just going to talk about the difference because sometimes people are very confused and use one instead of the other. So Tableau Conference 2021 is already behind us. And if you have attended the virtual event, I hope you enjoyed the content, and maybe one or more of you had the opportunity to schedule a Tableau Doctor appointment. If you are not familiar with Tableau Doctor, it's a trademark element of Tableau Conference that provides the opportunity for customers like you to engage in troubleshooting, consulting, product demo interactions with Tableau product experts. And our experts are Tableau employees like Rachel. We also have Tableau Zen Masters who are there to answer your questions. And at conference, people love Tableau Doctor, in fact, so much that they asked if they could implement a similar version of it in their own organization. And this is how Data Doctor started. So it's a do-it-yourself toolkit and methodology that you can use to answer questions in-house. So the Tableau Doctors, your experts are, sorry, the Data Doctors, your experts are people who use the product, so your power users, and the people who ask questions, your patients are the rest of your employees who consume or build dashboards and data. I hope this gives a little bit of background and a difference between the two. Now I'm going to talk more about Data Doctor itself. And I want to mention that if you do ever implement in your organization a Data Doctor program, please do not call it Tableau Doctor, as it is strictly reserved for conference. So there are many benefits on why you would want a Data Doctor in your organization, a program like this. So one of them is to enable peer-to-peer issue resolution. Another one is to discover maybe skill gaps and knowledge gaps. So with it in your training on a department, organizational or team level, how to grow your data culture as well. So you use your organization to support, govern, and do more with your data. And you could also use it to reduce the support tickets or IT tickets that you get to resolve your own questions about analytics and Tableau products. And so I'm just going to stop sharing for a minute and bring in the actual toolkit so you can see what it looks like. There we go. Now, one moment. All right. So as Rachel mentioned, Rachel was on the team of the people who helped me relaunch this toolkit this year. So when we look at it, I want you to think about who you are in your organization, how do you position yourself, and who your audience is. So basically, to answer those questions, try to think about how many experts do you have in your organization who can answer Tableau product questions from their coworkers. How much time per week or per month can your experts volunteer their time to answer those questions? Or as a data community leader, how much resources, bandwidth, or even budget do you have to support, implement, run a program like this? And is there demand for questions? How many questions about your analytics, your dashboards, and anything do you get? Do you get a little, not too many? Are you overwhelmed? And this is how you need to tackle this toolkit. So each option that has been developed depends on who you are and where your organization is at. So for example, if we head to the chat channel, you could understand what it looks like in an ideal world, how much effort do you need, and how many people do you need. Then, if it looks like something you could implement, you have instructions and best practices and guidance on how to build it, how to run it, and if you outgrow it, how to expand it. If you log in, I will share this link later, but if you do log in and you head to the very bottom of the page, you may see resources or you may not. And if you do not, you simply need to press the submit button here. And when this loads, you will have tons of resources that appear. As you download them, you have guidelines, how-to instructions, sample workbooks, sample data, a lot of things that you can basically use as templates and models on how to run a successful program, how to grow your metrics, and how to sell it so that more people join your team. An example I have below here is, for example, Slack. We use Slack. And if you use Slack workflows, you could basically track how many questions are asked, who asks questions. If they ask a question once, are they coming back to ask another? And if they do, can you actually recruit them as a new expert who answers those questions? And this is how you can grow your team. And if you do have additional metrics, you can also push it even further and understand how many questions were resolved, which one are not. Do you need to escalate them as a support ticket or ask a question on the community forums? This concludes a short presentation of the toolkit. I hope this was very helpful. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Pauline. And I think that what we'll do is block all the questions all together. So let's have all the intros first, all the short presentations. Then we go back with the questions because we do have questions.
That's good, yes.
But yeah, so thanks, Pauline, for the presentation. And Annabelle, with you now.
Thank you. Let me share my screen. So I don't have to introduce myself, but because I was already introduced by the wonderful host today, but I let 2 QR codes in case you want to attend the Data Plus Women Zurich. Yes, I tried to. Or the Tableau Analytics user group. So let me go back. I am leading the Tableau Center of Enablement for a Swiss bank. I'm based on Switzerland. And here it's part of my working experience. Don't worry, I will not go through them. I just wanted to say that, yeah, I was a data analyst in France. I was leading a team of data analysts there. And when I moved to Switzerland, I couldn't find a job for 2 years until I discovered, a job offer in which someone gave me the opportunity to learn Tableau. So I just downloaded the tool. I felt in love with the tool. Okay, it's not the question here. What I wanted to really mention and to focus on, that this community aspect is very important. This person was already on the community, that she was already participating, and she knew that anyone could learn the tool as much as you want to dedicate some hours of your time. So by giving me this opportunity, I could find a job in Switzerland. And since 6 years, I have been giving back to the community. So it's like kind of a virtual cycle, and I wanted to be aware of, and I'm always very thankful for this person. Just wanted to mention that. So what is my actual position as a Tableau Center of Enablement lead? Obviously, we are taking care of a Tableau server, of the licenses, of the administration, upgrade, and everything around the platform. We are also giving internal trainings and supporting any Tableau desktop users. We have currently 130 Tableau desktop users and 1,700 server users. So it's quite big for a small bank, I would say. And yes, on the support, I can totally relate on what Pauline says. It will be better to get organized internally instead of having like we have anyone being able to call us anytime for any question. So what we really try to implement is the visual and performance best practices across the company. And I also have as a mission to develop the internal community. And like I said, this internal community is the basis of everything. So obviously training is very important, but the way that we approach it, and I can after Rachel answer your question and tell you what works and what didn't work at my company and can share like my experience. It's really like, of course, you can put as many resources that you want on intranet and really like tell them, hey, you just have to follow these trainings and everything. It will not work for what I have seen, except if you have already a community in place where people can share experience and they can demonstrate, hey, yes, I was capable to do my first dashboard. I ask around, and you are as strong as you are together. It's really, and it's the same thing for sports. Sometimes you don't want to do sport alone, but if you jump on your Peloton bike and you see that all these people are doing this exercise every day, you will also be motivated to go on your bike and do it together. So yes, that is like some example of skill belts or trainings that you can implement, obviously. And what I said is like, that will be my final slide, is like the community is really the core of the adoption. It's very important to have regular meeting. Even if you are a small company, you can have like a coffee once a week or once a month with some of the Tableau desktop practitioners. It's absolutely fine. It's just like this friendly, share knowledge, give feedback, that is very important. And yes, and you have a lot of ways to do it. And I can speak about my experience with these games later. Rachel.
Perfect. So thanks, Annabelle. And yeah, so we will not ask the questions now because then we will have Benny first, and then we come back with our questions. So you three can talk a little bit more. But yeah, Benny, with you now talking about the experience of InfoLab, how the InfoLab uses communities and also volunteership as a way to engage people and build community also internally. So with you, yeah. Share your screen or not.
Yeah, I'll definitely share my screen. Thank you, Rachel. And I definitely have some questions for Pauline and Annabelle. You do amazing stuff. Yeah, let me talk about Teal Plus, our pro bono initiative. So first of all, I'm Benedetta. I work for the Information Lab since 2015. I'm now the head of consultant support. We run a program called the Data School, which me and Rachel had the pleasure to go through. It's a 2.5 year program. We learn Tableau and Alteryx for the first 4 months, and then we apply what we learn for another 2 years at different clients. So yeah, I'm also the creator of Teal Plus, which is our initiative for sharing our knowledge and our analytical skills with NGOs. So the idea behind is that data sits at the heart of many business decisions, but often NGOs don't have the resources really, which are available in the private sector or that we have in-house. So that's where we become very relevant because we train lots of tech consultants every year. So we have literally lots of like in-house analytical skills, and we want to use them to drive social change. So over the last couple of years, really, we have helped about 15 organizations, NGOs. We have partnered with the United Nations Development Program, but mostly really we have increased employee satisfaction for the variety of projects that we provide for them with our initiative. We have a lot of contacts. So, if you want to go to work for an NGO after, that's probably the best thing you can do during these 2.5 years is to actually participate in these initiatives and get to know lots of people. and also, employee satisfaction, because, they're having an impact on helping NGOs with the skills they have already. So all sounds very good, but how did we get there? So my presentation is really about how we got to create Still Plus. So as I said, I started, I moved to London. I'm Italian originally. I moved to London in 2015. I wanted to work in the tech sector. And as Annabelle, really, I stayed at least 10 months without finding a job, because I was really like I wanted to work in tech, but what kind of tech? And before the data school, no one really offered me to go through a training. So yeah, I learned Tableau and Alteryx. At the beginning, it was, the first month I had to learn Tableau, which, it can be complex at the beginning, but after a while I got comfortable and confident with Tableau, and I could, build charts, create insights, and I was very proud. And I started to go at clients, and yeah, I was quite confident with the softwares. But then I thought, can I use these skills for something else? Can I use these brilliant ways of visualizing and analyzing and summarizing data in the no-profit sector? Is it possible? Is there any initiative around that can allow me to do this? And then I started to look around, and I found some very cool initiatives. So first of all, Tableau Foundation, I don't know if any of you is part of the Service Corps. So the Service Corps, you can sign up as a volunteer and you say, okay, I have this skill set. If as an NGO can reach out to me directly through the portal. Also Alteryx for Good and other initiatives like Bistro Social Good. So I signed up, and over the years I worked for some programs. So the first one, I got a call from the World Food Program, and they wanted some help on some visualization for some operations in Africa. So I did that. I helped with the data, I helped with the visualization, and then I thought it was super, super interesting, rewarding. You have your dashboard, which actually is used for something super impactful and important, like provisions in Africa. Operation Fistula has been quite a game changer for this initiative, because one of our former colleagues, Naledi, she went to work there. So obviously having someone working for the NGO, which knows what we can do and what kind of skills we can provide, obviously has been quite important. We started to run free training. We started to support on some dashboard to raise awareness, like the yearly day to end violence against women. That was a very important campaign that we helped with some visualizations. Then we had another project with the United Nations. It was the Global Goal Week in New York. We did a massive work on the API of Twitter for mentions and tweets. They just wanted to understand what was going on there. Anyway, very interesting stuff. But then I thought at some point, am I the only one volunteering at Still? No, the answer was no. I knew already there was a lot of other people doing the same thing. That's why we started to think about making it something more official, just because it's important, and also for acknowledging people's work, because that's always important, and also to have something to show to charities. So we came up with this, my little roadmap of the last year. So in 2020, Still Plus is born. So we create this beautiful website where we explain what we do. There is a get in touch button where you can, as an NGO, you can get in touch with us. There is a little video, I say little, but it's 1 hour worth video on Still Plus. Is a Q&A between me and a lady explaining what Still Plus is about and so on. Over here, we have projects. So for example, for each project, we have a page. So this is our latest work. I was mentioning before the climate change project. We did, we supported the E-Access, which is an independent nonprofit, which is trying to put together all the macroeconomic policies on climate change, obviously very important with the COP26. Over here, we have what do they do, how we help, some links on the project. So everything is here. And, I was just looking at this before. This is embedded in the e-accesses. This is all Tableau and is made by our volunteers. Looking at the roadmap again, this is an important project. It's paused for the moment. I just want to mention it because I think it's very important to understand what this sort of initiatives and project can help with. So, for example, we got in contact with the Asia Pacific Transgender Network, and they wanted some support in creating a hate report about aggressions and discrimination against transgender people in Asia. So now, right now, they're collecting, incidents and episodes and stuff. But of course, it's super rewarding to think that you can help in such a topics, and that your dashboard can actually, support some conversation, raising awareness in this. So obviously, super important. Then we did a couple of partnerships. So we are a partner of Visual Social Good, which is the initiative where a charity gets visibility for a couple of months, and all volunteers around the world can support and create visualizations, and the best ones will be used by the charity on the website or somewhere else. Within the United Nations, as I said before, obviously very cool and very important. We are supporting with these data futures. So we are supporting with some data and some visualizations on this website, which is focusing on COVID. We had a very good example on Moldova data. So we had Sadia, brilliant volunteer. She had some time off from clients. We were just waiting that the client would restart. So she worked on this. She worked for a couple of weeks. She built this amazing survey visualization using the UNDP data. So obviously very impactful. And yeah, Tableau for Good, we won the award. So the partner award for Tableau for Good, which obviously is super rewarding for us, but also is very important that Tableau has this kind of awards in the first place. And then we did our interview on Impactful, which is a very super cool initiatives, which promotes these kind of things. So yeah, I mean, 2022, don't know what's gonna happen, but we are going to continue with all of this. As for a couple of reasons, as I said before, employee satisfaction is the first one. You have, a big variety of projects which you expose your consultants. They get in contact with lots of people. So, if you want to work for an NGO, probably the best thing you can do is to get going with this, because they know already how you work. You work for free for them. So there's gonna be, a much direct channel. And yeah, also, you use your skills also for something good, which is always great. Thank you.
Thank you, Bennett. And well, we had the presentations of you three. I think that three great experience, three different ways to look at community, how to build it, how to build skills at the same time. And I will start with a question for you three. I think that we can even keep the order of the presentations. And my first question is around, for each one of you, what do you think that is the most effective way to do it, to connect people inside the organizations and to create this space and the culture? Because I think that that's the most important, right? To have the culture of sharing knowledge and helping each other. Because I think that's Annabelle, I think that mentioned this, right? If you don't have this culture of sharing, the things will get stuck at some point. So yeah, for each one of you, I think that we can start by Pauline, then we go Annabelle and Benny. What do you think that is the most effective way to connect and the most important ingredient to make it happen?
For me, specifically, if we talk about the data doctor mindset, it's to learn by teaching. So it's okay not to know. Question is going to come in and you will not know the answer, and that's okay. There are ways to ask other people, and so learn by teaching and teach by learning. So do you need me to expand a little bit more, or
Yeah, I think if you'd like to, because I think that this is quite nice, and yeah, I think that everyone, when we do doctor for the first time, we kind
Yeah.
of freeze because we think that we need to know everything, and then after we start to understand that the idea is not that you need to know everything,
Yeah.
it's that together with the patient, the other person.
And also pushing or encouraging that once you learn something, don't go back to the person. If you have the question again, don't refer to the person who answered, but teach it yourself, you know. So if you learn a cool calculation or a cool maps trick that someone taught you, make sure you teach others and don't redirect those questions to the people who got the question from you. I think this is what I wanted to demonstrate more. Sorry.
Yeah, and I think that it is a big skill that you develop in the doctor, right? And yeah, I agree. It's a big one. I think that Bene also in the Info Lab, it's a lot about it, right? About learning, teaching the other person what you learn, sharing what you discovered, and yeah,
Questions.
asking questions, not being shy around it. And yeah, I think that it's quite important. Annabelle, for you, from your experience.
I mean, establish this culture of sharing knowledge and everything is quite difficult, I have to say. Either in your company, you already have it, or sometimes you really have to show the example yourself. So when I arrive, I mean, it's a Swiss bank, so they don't get to share their dashboard to other people, no, because maybe there is some data that they cannot share, or they are ashamed, or they think that what they are building is not good enough. So it's my role to try to encourage them to share it. And I have tried multiple ideas. One of the ideas that works well, but still they're on the shyness part of was like try to highlight, for instance, a viz from time to time that was developed by someone, and saying what was good on it. Maybe not everything was good in a visual way, but some part were good. So that works quite well. And otherwise, with some viz game, with some fun, having some fun together, and after try to say, hey, look, can you explain what you did? Which technique did you use? But yes, it's really, if you have to create this culture, it will require more work on your part. Yeah.
And just curiosity, Annabelle, do you have gamification in the strategy that you use internally, or no?
For the learning,
Yeah.
I try to implement the skill belt. I did like a gamification with sticker. It never went well. I'm very sad. It's a nice stickers that I have developed, and the content is also cool. But I have noticed that the people that want to learn will learn anyway, and the people who don't want to learn will take every excuse not to. I mean, it's true that another organization, they have this cool, let's say, learning paths that have been developed. And I wish I had more FTE to be able to spend time. You have to spend time to develop these skills, and really to say, hey, if you don't follow these steps in 6 months, I don't know, your license is being removed. You know, like you can really have this, and I wish I could do that, because I think for what I spoke with other people works very well. On my side, what works well was the Viz games. So I have two with this game. One was a total success, the other one a total disaster. But it's okay, you know, I try, I'm not demotivated. I try to do it again, learning by doing, exactly like Pauline says. So one I tried this game I tried, it was with some prizes. So they had some t-shirt, books, or they always have something to try to motivate them. The first one was developing a dashboard using one of the 3 features at that time. So that was set action, parameter action of this show hide container. So it was 2 years ago almost. And this game was on Game of Thrones. So I gave to Swiss banker a Game of Thrones dataset. And they had fun. They had a lot of fun. It was like very surprising to me. And another this game that didn't work at all was, so I worked with this charity with Red Cross. So I had discussion for months with Red Cross to try to have a data set to be able to use internally, with data obfuscated. And I have only 2 people participating. And they told me that they didn't want to do it because they didn't have enough time to dedicate to do good with data. So I was thinking that they will be motivated by doing so. And it was the contrary. They were like afraid of doing something wrong and they prefer not to do anything.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So the non-pressure Game of Thrones made them kind of take more. Yeah, that's interesting.
It could be a theme, because you want to do something good and you don't want to visualize the wrong data. I can imagine that. It's, yeah.
While Game of Thrones is like, well, you can do whatever, it can be wrong, and you don't care. Yeah, it's interesting that they didn't. And if you think the idea was quite cool, right? They could do something that the Red Cross would reuse and everything.
Yeah,
so that's an interesting experience of things that went well and things that definitely didn't. Yeah, and Bene, because and you didn't share the previous one that we were talking about, the secret ingredient for you to make people connect. Which one would you bring in from your experience, and what do you think that is the most important thing that you see?
Yeah, in my opinion, you need to keep it interesting, because honestly, like, we're talking about people working on pro bono, like Annabelle just said it, literally just said it. Now they are saying, obviously not making assumptions, but they are saying we're afraid of making things wrong. Reality is, could be, we don't want to take extra work, right? So that's obviously a variable. People are already working, so pro bono work is on top. So why would the people do it? So in our case, a little bit different, because our program is all about learning. So anything that, you know, can be a learning experience is good. Now, having said that, it's not that there is a big queue of people that want to get in. There is a bunch of people that want to get engaged, but it's not like 100% of the people. So I think from my point of view, is to keep it interesting. So saying, you know, as I said, we just ran a climate change webinar. Now, these 2 women, Sadia, Jana, they're gonna look for a job in 1 year. You know, they're gonna have this video on YouTube saying all the work they have done. They're gonna have the founder of eAccess saying how good they were, and they're gonna just send this video to the new employer and say, this is part of my work. It's just like a portfolio. We talk a lot about, you know, be visible and build your own portfolio. What a better way to do it is in having a YouTube video that just explain everything you have done. So you need to keep interest. Of course, there is already an element of wanting to do something pro bono, but you also need to make it, you know, interesting from their point of view. And they're all looking for a job in 6 months, 1 year, 1.5 years time. So yeah, I would say that you need to explain the benefits around their involvement. And yeah, since we do that, since we have the website, since we have more clear picture of what we're doing, you have more and more people saying, can I participate? Can I participate? Giving also a little bit more meaning on, you know, just corporate work, which, you know, is work, you learn a lot, but also we have a very strong technical skills, which, you know, you can use for a lot of things. It's not always easy because data can be very messy everywhere, but in NGOs can be extra messy, extra level messy. So you need very committed people that go there through these spreadsheets. But the end is an exercise. Like I just had Sadia, which again, she had a break from clients and she had to go through this very complex Excel sheets, but it's what a better way to practice. Like it's all about practicing on this program. What a better way of like uncoding literally the NGOs world, the data world. So yeah.
That's good. Yeah, and I think that you mentioned one point that is quite important. That is, when people understand the benefits from engaging, they engage. Otherwise, it's like, why should I kind of do something on top of everything else? And it's interesting. And I think that Annabelle, she kind of ventured and started the things that went well and things that went super wrong. Pauline and Benedetta, do you have examples also of things that went super well and things that definitely after you were like, okay, that's a interesting learning because it went wrong and that we shouldn't do this way anymore? Do you have examples like the one that Annabelle gave us?
Yeah. So for Tableau Doctors specifically at conference with 2020, we had to take a step back and shift virtually. So for me, one of my priorities was to make sure all doctors, all staff, no matter where they are, were supported. You know, when you are alone on a call with someone who's asking you a question and you don't know the answer, at conference, you can raise your hand and someone is going to come and help you. But when you are alone virtually, it can be tough, you know. So we used Slack workflows and we basically had real-time help. No matter when you worked, the team was there to help you. You could be sitting in Singapore and someone would help you from Seattle, you know, and so that's really cool. People liked, and it worked really well. That's why it's in the toolkit today. So lesson we learned on how to adapt virtually. Something that didn't go so well, I also call it Data Doctor at Tableau. So peer-to-peer support about your analytic dashboards. And we were basically trying to find a new appointment scheduling tool. I had something in mind, option A and option B. Option A was preferred. We implemented option B in an interim while we were testing option A. Option A was a disaster. And in the end, we still used option B and it's perfect actually. So yeah, some lesson learned as well. Sometimes it doesn't go up as you want, you know.
Yeah, and it's normal, right? Not everything works. I think that we learn from both things that go well and also the ones that don't go super well.
Yeah, maybe it's also a good learning point to take with you that even in companies everywhere it can go horribly wrong. Sometimes things work and sometimes they don't, and that you think, hey, why didn't it work? Or maybe why not? And maybe it can be like a confidence issue, like mentioned before. And what can you do then the next time?
Yeah,
and maybe also share about those experiences. I think they will definitely help. At least they have helped me in the past, and I think also in the future. So yeah.
It's good. Especially it's good to share the things that didn't work, I think, because usually we talk only about the things that worked super well, which makes everyone do the things that went wrong again, because we don't talk about them. We pretend that everything was good and fine.
It's actually quite good to indeed share it, because otherwise it would be, look at us, we did the great thing and everything is amazing. And then somebody else in the company is like, hey, my company, it's not like this. What am I doing wrong? Yeah. So very, very good and very honest to share that. So cool.
It's good. And Benny, do you have also your moment of?
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. Like at the beginning, obviously, I wasn't scoping the project properly. I was just saying yes to all charities, you know, just because I wanted the involvement. And obviously, you will find yourself in a situation where you had loads of work, you had no people, And you're like, how do I do this? In particular with the global goal, it looked very nice when I talked about the global goals in New York, but actually, like the API, if anyone asks you to use the Twitter API, run away, because it's the most complex thing in the planet. Like, it's just like, and imagine like how many people were tweeting in that week. So basically we agreed that at the end you only had to pay a premium account because we had more. But then there was an Alteryx workflow with oh my god, I even don't remember. It was something so crazy. It took me like a month of work. I had to involve other people, and that just because obviously I said a yes without actually understanding what I was going through, because you have to download a certain amount of tweets, otherwise you would run out of just, and you had to understand what to run, what to download, when to stop. It was, I don't know, complex. So I thought after that experience, at the end, obviously everything was so nice, but after that I thought, okay, before you're saying yes, actually try to understand, also because you have a full-time job. So try to understand what's the project about. And so this is, learning. And after that, we had another one actually with the Tableau Foundation was also involved with Campaign Zero in US. It was to end violence from police to BMA and in general, like to people. And there was all this website to check. So they wanted to check all police station data. Would have been like two months worth of work. I don't know. But obviously with Alteryx, you could download the whole website and match and see in 2 days if that worked. Obviously beyond me, couldn't do it. But at the point I was like at the right moment to ask for help and to ask for people help. And again, some people might not necessarily be driven by I wanna help the NGO sector, but they're gonna be attracted by the challenge itself. So I have collected at least 5 people that wanted to make that API work, just for the sake of making the API work, not for, obviously it was nice that it was for NGO, but it was a challenge itself that attracted people, which is completely fine, fair, good for me, good enough. So yeah, that was the good experience, actually, involving people with the right reasons, with the right motivation, and everything worked out in 2 days compared to the 2 months. So good.
It's good.
So what you actually, what we can take away from the story is, even though if you're just helping, that you will scope it, and then like it is something, it is real work, only not paid. So that sometimes you can think, oh, I will do it, no worries, I will have my weekends and evenings, everything is fine.
Sure.
And then it's way too much, and they're like, but now I said yes, and I cannot. Yeah, now I need to. Or like you said, you can always ask help and involve other people. And sometimes, yeah, it's more complex than you thought. Like, yeah, just like in the real world, right? Then you sometimes also have those kind of things.
Scoping things it's quite difficult.
Yeah,
a lot of times we think that it will be much easier than it is. When you start to get the data and the thing, you discover, well, it's slightly more difficult than I initially thought.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Can I add something, Rachel?
Yes.
Often what at work, I have a lot of things to do, obviously. And if someone reached up to me for a dashboard, I will go for the easiest solution. But the way where I learn the most is either like a stakeholder really challenge me to do something that I have to break, not Tableau, but almost to make it what I want to make it. Or when I participate to some community challenge, like I run these or whatever. Why? Because there, first I have time, I do it for myself, and I really try to get out of the box for fun. So my mind is much more creative when I am doing this kind of work than at work, where I try to be the most efficient as possible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it makes sense, right? Because at work, yeah, and at work sometimes you can do some types of solutions because they want fit in the and their needs, right? And the needs of the other people using and everything. So you end up more restricted in a way, I think. And yeah, we're almost in the end. I'll do a final question because there is, I think that we had here different experience of people and always with this very big point of sharing knowledge. And I'll go back to Pauline because Pauline, I think that a lot of times people are interested in the idea. For instance, they see the Tableau doctors during the conference, find it cool. But then they get reluctant to do the data doctors in their organizations because they think, oh, I need to have a lot of people, otherwise it won't work.
Yeah.
So I'd like you to explore it a little bit, the minimal number of people that you need to kind of to start something and to make it work and to make, for instance, a program of sharing knowledge like the data doctors to make it possible. Is there a kind of a magical number for people interested in starting it?
Well, Annabelle may have some feedback, but I think that all you need is one person to get started. Someone who's willing to, volunteer their time. At first, it is possible that no one will show up. If, for example, you organize office hours, half an hour a week, no one shows up. But then if you help just one person one time, it's all worth it. And then, people chat, people say, oh, this person helped me. That was really cool. Let me go back and come back. And then more people come in and then it starts growing. So I think, in my opinion, just one person who's willing to not know, I'm not going to say fail because it's not failing, but not know an answer that's going to be asked. It's okay, again, but just one person is all it takes, in my opinion.
I thought that Annabelle was panicking there because she is the one person in her company, right, Annabelle?
Yeah, we are two on the Tableau Center of Enablement.
You need to scale, Annabelle. We need to create more, get more volunteers to help.
We need more Annabelles.
Yeah, it's several Annabelles. No, it's like we are two, and I think it's like more than 1 day a week that we spend answering questions. And part of them could have been a Google.
Oh, no, that's common. But yeah, I think that helping people to understand how Google works is also part of the work. Yeah. How to search for things on Google. That's the main thing. It's like Google is useful, but you need to.
And a way of thinking, because sometimes you find so much. I had it in the beginning that I don't know where to start. So many letters, so many text, I don't know. And then you try one thing and doesn't work. You try another thing, doesn't work. Your data doesn't load, and then you're like, I spent, it doesn't work. And then somebody else helps you and it's one click and you're like, okay. So I think you need to start somewhere, and maybe it's nice to do it together as well.
Oh, I'm seeing that Pauline is sharing the how to search the Tableau knowledge base and community forest. That's a very good video. Is that the same one that you have internally, or isn't it?
Yeah, I produced that video like a year or two ago. In 3 minutes, you learn how to get the most advantage of the AI and machine learning we run on our knowledge base and community platform. So maybe, Annabelle, the first thing they have to do before contacting you is to search a little bit,
Send the video to them, Annabelle, and then test it. See if it works.
I already try.
You need to make a session and watch with them, maybe. Then you're sure that they're watching the video.
No, but I will try. It's on my roadmap in 2022. I will read again all the Pauline material and try to implement it.
And try again. And then next year we can do another session and then you share with us what worked and what didn't again.
Okay, let's do that.
Perfect. So Pauline, Annabelle, Bene, thank you so much. Thanks for everyone that attended. We also shared in the chat a link to our final event of the year. Sounded a bit kind of end of the world now. It's kind of a special event, not final, right? Final seems that the world will end in the end of the year.
It's the last event of the year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The network will continue next year. It's not ending. It's just the special holiday event that we're putting together. And we already have, we can say who the speaker is, right? It's there.
It's there.
So yeah, we'll have, I was given kudos on Twitter, and there is a reason. It's because we're bringing Shelby, that she is from Strava, and she is the head of data there, and she will be one of our speakers in our holiday special. So for everyone, it's available. You can already confirm your attendance and see us again in the end of the year.
Yes, December 16, and yeah, the link's in the chat, and you can subscribe. And we hope to see you there. And we have a lot of things planned and ideas, mostly for next year. We will, dive a bit more into the communities and to other projects. We will, share about it later. So we will email you with an update, and so you have all the links we shared today in place as well.
Perfect. That's it. So thanks everyone. Thanks our panelists again, attendants again. And yeah, the links that are in the chat, we'll make sure that you have them after in a follow-up email, so everyone can benefit from them also. So thanks everyone, and see you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
See you
you.
soon.
Bye.